you ever been in a restaurant where you see the child and their parent using their hands to speak to their children? I don't mean swatting at them to sit down. I mean the communication and interaction between the parent and child. This is called sign language, and today I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of audiology, what is wrong with deaf education in today's culture, and the history of sign language. I've spent the last several years of my life learning sign language myself, and there are several points I would like to make to you about deaf culture. When a hearing parent with no experience in the deaf culture finds out that their child is deaf, a parent will often experience denial and withdrawal when the news is first delivered. That is where the audiologist's job comes in. The audiologist will assess how much hearing loss there is and what can be done about it. One of the pros of audiologists is that they can quickly diagnose a deaf or hard of hearing child with hearing impairments. They can help mold the hearing aids into the shape of a child's ear, or they can recommend them to a cochlear implant specialist. But that is about where the job of an audiologist ends. And according to the UK Guardian magazine, it is oftentimes that the audiologists do not know sign language and are not immersed in the deaf culture at all. The hearing world audiologists think that changing the child into a hearing world is the only way that they will succeed in life, instead of the deaf cultured audiologist that understands that the deaf child needs options. And in order for that child not to reject the hearing aids or cochlear implants, that child needs to be given options. Those options would be any of these: sign language, cochlear implants, or hearing aids, or lip reading. According to the Hearing Loss Association, American Sign Language is a perfect option for deaf or hard of hearing children to effectively communicate with others. But oftentimes, if a parent, child care provider, or relative is not comfortable learning sign language, then the child is often left in the dark about conversations that are being spoken and not signed. In the hearing community, the deaf are often segregated and put into lumps with handicapped individuals, or they are resented for not speaking when spoken to. Cochlear implants are a great idea, but are not for everyone. The mental preparation behind them is extensive and is needed before implants can be put in place, according to the National Association of the Deaf. Both cochlears and hearing aids, in combination with lip reading, are great tools for deaf children whose families have not chosen to learn sign. But above all, if possible, it is the best communication tool. Communication and education are huge factors in any culture, and it is truly needed to succeed in life. Yet, we allow the deaf to be undereducated, and deaf education started long ago, but came to America when Thomas Hopkins, Gallaudet, and Laurent Clerc came to America and started the American School for the Deaf. Adapted from the French version of sign language, Gallaudet and Clerc worked hard to spread American Sign Language, and until the 1880s it was an accepted form of communication. Then things started changing in the 1960s when children were reprimanded for signing to each other, and the deaf was set back. Deaf children would have to sit on their hands, were not allowed to communicate through sign at all. And finally, the deaf education finally came back on the map, according to listenup.org. But through personal experience, I've seen that not all deaf education is the same. Some charter schools and private schools say they claim to work well with deaf students, but according to the Dallas Morning News' own Stonewall Jackson Elementary, the school went from being exemplary to academically acceptable due to the deaf children's scores, because there is a communication error between the two cultures. If there was a bond between the two cultures, then the deaf would be able to move further out into the hearing world, and I hope that you start to think about that. And I hope that when you see a deaf person, instead of staring at them in public, maybe you can try and help communicate with them. In addition, there are classes at TCC offered if you're interested in learning. If and when you do decide to learn sign language, you'll be immersed into a new world, and you'll be able to hear the world through all new ears.